Do you want to make video games? Do you play video games, awesome, beautiful AAA video games, and you actually want to work in the West, in the US, in Canada, in the UK, working for a AAA company, making the kind of video games that you like to play? Also, are you kind of stuck where you live in your home country because you can't find a path to doing that? Perhaps you don't have a AAA industry in your home country, you don't have good courses, you don't have good community, you don't have good support, and you're stuck as to how you're going to be doing that. Are you thinking that you're going to do a game course, you're going to go abroad, do your graduation, do your post-graduation, do a diploma from an awesome game college somewhere abroad, and after that, you're going to go straight into the game industry in that country? Is that your plan? Well, the truth is that there are a lot of very, very nasty surprises on that particular path. There are a lot of people who've actually tried to go down that path and have not succeeded because there are so many things that you don't know, that nobody tells you about this path. Okay, so that was the bad news. The good news is that you are not going to be doing that because you are going to watch this video till the very end, and I'm going to tell you as to how you can avoid that. I'm going to tell you how you can actually go abroad, you can actually get a job, you can actually work in AAA. I'm Rahul Sehgal, and I am a game maker, and I'm an educator, and I'm the founder of the Gamer2maker method. Now, before we do that, make sure you subscribe and make sure you hit the bell icon so that you do not miss any videos. Also, follow me on Instagram, Sehgal Rahul1. I post tons of awesome content, tips, tricks, hacks about game careers, game making, and game development. If you want to be part of an awesome community of people just like you who want to make video games for a living, join the Gamer2maker Discord server. The link is in the description of this video. So let's go. So first off, the game industry in the West, in the US, in Canada, in UK, in Australia is really, really advanced. It's far more advanced. And the truth is that even education is really, really good. It is the game colleges, the facilities they have over there, the faculty is absolutely amazing. I myself have been teaching game making for about 12 years now. A lot of my students come to me asking for recommendations to go abroad, and almost every month I am recommending someone who's going to a foreign university, who's going to the US, going to Canada for further studies, and that happens a lot. Also, I myself studied at Vancouver Film School in Canada, and once I was done with that, I actually did an internship at a game studio in Vancouver. So when it comes to going and studying abroad and working abroad, I've been there, done that. Alright, so now let's really get into the problem. Now, in most fields such as engineering or law or medical fields, what usually happens is that if you want to work abroad, you go to a college, you find a good university, you find a good course, you go, you study, and at the end of that, you get a degree or a diploma which says that you know how to do X, Y, Z, and at the end of that, you get a job, okay? That works for other industries, but not for the game industry. The game industry is completely different from other industries, and most people don't understand that. And this is why they get burned. I have known many people who have tried this approach and they have wasted tens of thousands of dollars and years of their life, and they've had problems getting jobs. They haven't succeeded in the path they have wanted to follow, and they have been really, really dejected. Now, the difference in the game industry is very simply this, that you do not get hired on the basis of your qualification. You get hired on the basis of your work experience. So I have a method called the Gamer to Maker method, and I have a mantra which says that the only way to learn how to make video games is to actually make them. So if you want to join the game industry, it's not going to work to just throw money at a college degree or an education abroad, go finish it and approach game companies, because they're not going to hire you. Now, especially AAA companies abroad, they have very, very high standards. They make very, very high quality games, and they want people who can actually make high quality games, not someone who has a college degree which says that this person has learned the theory of making games. They want you to actually have work experience making games. Now that's a bit of a chicken and egg situation, I get it. So the HR of a game company is not going to call you and say, all right, you have a degree from so university in game development, you're hired. No, they're going to refer you to the studio. They're going to refer you to the game making team, and the game making team, the designers, the artists, the programs, actually going to get on a call with you, have an interview with you, and see if you know how to make video games. So the question is, how do you do it? How do you get into a AAA company? And the answer is one: portfolio. Portfolio is everything in the game industry. A portfolio of the games you have made, the work you have done. It doesn't matter whether you want to be a designer or you want to be a programmer or you want to be an artist. You need a very, very strong portfolio of work in which you showcase the games that you have made, and you discuss what you have learned, you discuss your process, and this is something that will be placed in front of the people who are hiring you. They're going to actually go through your portfolio, they're going to see how you describe yourself, the work you've done, and on the basis that they're going to call you for an interview, and they're going to discuss that work, and at the end of that process, as and when they decide that you're good enough, you are going to get hired, whether it's a small company, middle-sized studio, large-sized studio, or AAA studio. Except that in AAA studios, especially in the US, Canada, and in the West, they have a very, very high standard, which means that your portfolio will need to be of a high standard. It needs to be polished. The games that you're going to be showing off will need to be kind of more polished, kind of more complex, and your presentation of what you have learned is also going to have to be absolutely top class. So other thing what I want to say is that colleges will not tell you this stuff, okay? There is a lot of stuff that I'm saying which you will not hear from colleges abroad. They're going to say, just turn up, give us your money, and we'll figure out the rest. They're not going to tell you about the difficulties that you're going to face, because they want you to go. They want your money, but you have to be extra careful that you're not going to waste your money on something that's not going to bring you the results. So the question is, how do you get started? How do you start building a portfolio? How do you start making games? How do you start learning game making? You can check out the Gamer to Maker method, which is in the description of this video. It's possible that you may have made a few games by yourself, 2, 3, 4, 5 games which you've made by yourself, downloading Unity, Unreal, or with a couple of friends, and that's a really great start. But if you want to get into AAA companies, that's not going to be enough, because ideally you need more complex projects, and very importantly, you need to have worked in larger teams. What AAA companies do is that they have art teams, design teams, testing teams, marketing teams spread all over the world. These are companies which have hundreds or sometimes even thousands of people. So which means that if you are looking to get hired, you need to prove that you have actually worked with a larger team and that you understand the production process that is followed by large game teams. If you have worked in a 1 or 2 person team, that experience probably is not going to be enough. So one issue that you may have is that it's possible that there is no AAA company, no real AAA company in the country where you live. So the question is, how do I get experience at working at a AAA company? And the answer is, you don't need experience working in a AAA company. It's all right if you have experience working in a mobile game company, which is a medium to large size company. Ideally, you should have at least 2 to 3 years of work experience, and you should have at least 3 or 4 shipped titles that you can show off. That is around the minimum that you should have to be considered for a job, even if you go abroad and even if you study and you do your master's or you do your diploma as a gateway to get into the game industry abroad. The truth is that you need work experience, and that work experience most probably needs to happen in the country where you live. Now, I know it's frustrating sometimes to be living here in India or whichever country you live, which doesn't have good infrastructure, and it's a really nice thing to think, you know what, I'm just gonna get out of here, I'm going to, take money from my parents or take a loan, whatever, put it into a course, go there, do it, and just get a job. I know it sounds really good in your head, but it doesn't work. You will need to actually get work experience. You will need to get your hands dirty working for companies, because in most cases, they don't want people without work experience. In fact, there are a lot of good game colleges abroad which don't even accept you if you don't have a portfolio of pretty decent work that you have done. They don't want people who have never made games. They don't want absolute freshers. They want people who understand the game development process to some extent. So the next thing that no one is going to tell you is work permits. Now, this is really, really important. It's no use to go somewhere and do a game course, and at the end of that, you don't have a work permit to work in that country. So if you're going to a game college, do make sure that you have a work permit for at least 1 or 2 years. Also, make sure that it's an open work permit, because I know there are some countries that only allow you to work in certain professions, and an open work permit means you can pretty much work in anything. Also, be aware that Canada has something called a labor market law, which means that a Canadian company which wants to hire a foreigner has actually got to prove and state that they can't find a Canadian citizen who can actually do that job. So work permits are quite tricky, and I know a lot of people who have gotten the wrong information about work permits, and they've gone abroad, they've studied, and they have not been able to get a job because their work permit didn't work out. So make sure that you get your facts right about your work permits. Also, be aware that if you're going to be applying for a job in these countries, you will be competing against people, locals, who are of a very high professional standard, because these countries have a very mature game industry. They have been making games for 30, 40, 50 years compared to countries like India, in which the game industry is quite young. So be aware that to get those jobs, to get those AAA jobs, you're going to have to compete against a very high standard of professionalism, and you have to at least match it, if not be better, to actually get those jobs. Once again, be aware that no one is going to tell you this stuff, especially from those countries, because they want you there. They want your money. They want you to put your money into colleges. They want you to stay there. And they're not going to give you this information. You're going to find out once you've paid, once you're in college, once you've graduated, and that happens a lot. Next up, getting a job after you graduate. Now, these courses are expensive, okay? They cost $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, and that's not even the cost of living. That's just the tuition fees. So it's a lot of money. And whether whether you have help from your parents or whether you're taking a loan, it's a big financial burden. Now, you may be thinking, all right, so what I'll do is I'll take a loan, I'll finish my course, and once the course is finished, I'm gonna get a job, and then I can start paying back that loan. Be aware that this may not happen immediately, even if your portfolio is of a high standard. I know people who have made it, but they have taken 1 to 2 years to actually get a job. So be aware and be prepared psychologically and financially that you may have to job hunt for 1 or 2 years, and you may not have an income. So if you have a loan or some money that has to be paid back, be aware that at least a couple of years you may not be able to start paying that money back. Some colleges I know help with placements, etc., but it's very rare that they actually take responsibility. It's usually something that they might help you with, which may work or which may not work. Also, be aware that you may not get your dream job straight out of college. Maybe you want to work for Ubisoft, maybe you want to work for Rockstar. It's possible you don't get a job with those companies straight away. You may get a job with a small studio, maybe that's making mobile games or maybe casino games, and you may have to actually work there for a while and then apply once again to those big companies. So be aware of that. Lastly, be aware that a lot of jobs that you get in these companies abroad are contractual jobs, because if you're offered a full contract, the company has to give you benefits like insurance, etc. And it's quite normal for these companies to actually sneakily find a way out the back door by offering 6-month contract, which they keep renewing so that you don't get benefits. And if you have a 6-month contract, that may cause problems with work permits and visas. And to end, a top tip for how to work for AAA studios, and that is make a focused portfolio. If you want to work for a particular AAA company, make sure you focus your portfolio. Plan in advance. If you want to work for one particular company, make sure you make your portfolio focused for a job for that particular company. This is a topic that I will be making a separate video on, and you make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss that particular video once it comes out. So thank you for watching. Leave a comment for me and let me know which college you're looking to go. Let me know about your experiences. I will see you around. Let's go.